Hello and welcome! It's been a while. If you're new to the channel and this is the first video of mine you've ever seen, then it's probably not going to be that interesting or mean that much to you, so I won't blame you if you go and watch something else. Even if you are familiar with the channel though, then it's probably still not going to be that interesting, to be honest with you, although you notice that things do look a little bit different behind me now. The whole rig has been moved downstairs, and most importantly, I've now got a dedicated aircon unit for my own little racing studio. I have been meaning to do a DDF Racer sim rig tour video for a while now, and now that I've got my own dedicated space, there's absolutely no excuse not to do one, although that's not what I'm going to be doing today. I'm not going to be doing a hardware or software review style video either. I'm not even going to be showing off some exciting race that I did recently. No, I'm literally just going to sit here and talk for a few minutes, or however long this video ends up being, because I haven't done a video or a live stream for 6 months now, and I've had a few people message me on Discord and leave comments on other videos saying, hey Dan, are you alright mate? Everything's okay, everything's good. Well, as of recording this video in June 2025 at least, it feels like ages since the big Thermalito community event in November, which was the last time I did any proper sim racing, but only a few weeks after that, my second daughter was born, and she's fantastic. I love being a dad. Like, I always knew I would, but when you actually get there, it's just amazing how this little switch gets flipped in your brain and your whole life and perception of things just totally changes. I'm sure if you're a fellow dad watching this too, then you know the feeling I'm trying to describe. It's just something uniquely special, and I wanted to make sure that I was around for my family and just to be there to support them for as much as I could during that time. Now, going from 1 kid to 2 kids isn't double the work, as I've found out. It's probably more like 10 times the work. And yet, while I absolutely love her to bits more than anything else in the world, she didn't exactly make those first few months any easier for us. She had lots of trouble sleeping, issues with choking and vomiting, and was generally just a really unsettled little human being. Poor girl. There was no break whatsoever. Basically, my routine was wake up, do the daycare run for the older kiddo, do a full day of work at the office, come home, make food for the family, get the toddler into bed, do all the house chores, and then settle in for the evening with an inconsolable baby and maybe, hopefully, get at least some broken sleep before the alarm went off and you get the next day to do it all over again. I have never felt so tired in all of my life, although, to be fair, not long before she was born, I also got diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, which meant my body wasn't able to produce enough thyroid hormones to maintain my metabolism. So, no matter how much I slept, even if I had some good nights or managed to even get a sneaky nap in the day one time, I'd just always feel completely run down and out of energy. And to be honest, I think this was probably becoming a bit obvious on my more recent live streams and videos at the end of last year. Brain fog, physical fatigue, just simple everyday stuff would take it out of me, so trying to throw sim racing and YouTube and family life into the mix as well, something had to give, so unfortunately it was this, YouTube. Thankfully though, I've got that all under control now with some thyroid replacement medication. No need for any invasive surgeries or stuff like that, but yeah, start of this year was rough. Doctor's appointments all the time, in and out of hospital, like I said about the unsettled baby as well, and also looking after my wife who was recovering from the surgery, and also my eldest daughter who's currently at that toddler age where they just seem to have this unlimited reserve of energy despite eating nothing but crackers and berries. After about 3 or so months though, the baby started to settle down a bit, my thyroid was getting back to normal, and I was finally starting to actually get some decent sleep at night. Maybe this could be the time I get my evenings back and, maybe I could finally fire up the sim rig and do some racing again. No. I got a kidney stone instead. Middle of February, it just came out of nowhere and floored me. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't speak, I just couldn't get comfortable no matter how I stood, sat, laid down, anything. I know it's a bit of a cliche saying it's the worst pain I've ever felt in my life, but honestly, it was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. I went to emergency, had a couple of scans, and some very good painkillers, and after a few hours found out that I had a 6mm stone lodged just below my left kidney. Fantastic. After an overnight stay, they sent me home and told me just to drink copious amounts of water, take some Panadol if I needed it, and hope for the best, as it should pass by itself. And then that was it for a month. No pain, no flare-ups, and no sign of the stone coming out either. Like, what happened? Oh yeah, we also had a cyclone hit Brisbane around about the same time as well. It was a crazy couple of weeks. Well, I say it was a cyclone. Anyone who was watching the news would have seen Alfred hovering off the coast of southeast Queensland for days and going, it's coming now, it's on the way, it's still on the way. Honest, it's going to cross any time now. By the time it actually did, it was downgraded to a tropical storm, so technically not a cyclone anymore, but it was still a pretty intense few days with lots of rain and incredibly strong winds that just didn't relent. So basically what I'm trying to say is that even without the kidney stone, I wouldn't have been able to do any sim racing because all of this, the rig, was dismantled and in pieces upstairs just to avoid it getting damaged in case any water got under the house. Thankfully we didn't, and we didn't get any damage from the wind or the debris either. But we were one of the lucky few, as there were hundreds of thousands of people without power for days, and lots of them had some pretty serious flood damage as well, unfortunately. I mean, it makes sense though. This part of Australia isn't really designed for that kind of weather. I mean, I think it was the first cyclone that made it this far down the coast and also hit land for like 50 years or something. Anyway, natural disasters to one side. The sim rig eventually came back downstairs, got reassembled, but at the end of March, and still with no sign of this kidney stone in sight, I saw a specialist who was like, mate, we're getting you in hospital tomorrow. The stone had got lodged in that little tube that goes between the kidney and the bladder, and yeah, the whole thing was just blocked up and backed up, and the kidney was starting to swell massively. Probably too much information, but here are my scans, so you can see the difference between what my good kidney and my not so good kidney looked like. 24 hours later, and under general anaesthetic, they put a stent in, which is basically a small tube made of polyurethane that goes from the kidney to the bladder and lets things flow again. And let me just say this, it wasn't keyhole surgery, and there's only really one way in and out to do that kind of thing, so yeah. Very happy I was asleep for that. So, stent in place, and after what seemed like the longest 6 weeks of my life with no heavy lifting and quite a lot of discomfort, they finally got me back into hospital to insert a laser up there to break the stone into little pieces and get rid of its miserable existence once and for all. And then 1 week after that, I was back in for my final visit to get the stent out, and honestly, the feeling of relief was immediate. Like, no joke, right away, once the anaesthetic wore off, I was up and about like nothing happened. I could lift up my kids again that weekend, do the shopping, sit down and stretch and move and twist and without feeling something pressing into me all the time. It was amazing. You take these things for granted, you really do. So if I can give you just one piece of life advice, keep yourself hydrated. Go and drink some water, and then go and fill up your drink and just drink a little bit more just to be safe. Look after your kidneys, because I would not recommend this to anybody. 0 out of 10, just nah. Anyway, I've been good for a few weeks now, and finally, thankfully, I've been able to get back on the sim rig and do some driving again. With the stent in, I just physically couldn't. I mean, trying to fight against the force feedback in the wheel and put any kind of pressure on the load cell pedal with the brakes, it's just excruciating. I could do 5 minutes, and then it was like, I've got to stop. I can't do this. Not gonna lie though, having 6 months off, I do feel a little bit rusty, although, to be honest, how would you ever be able to tell? So yeah, hopefully very soon I'll be back doing streams and sim racing related videos again, as opposed to this bloggy life update style thing. Although, to be fair, if you're actually enjoying this for however many minutes this has been going now, then let me know and maybe I'll do some more of it again in the future. I've also taken the opportunity in the downtime to work through my to-do list from the past few years and completely go over the recording and broadcast side of things from scratch. Without going into too many technical details and risk sending you further into a coma, I've switched everything behind the scenes from Streamlabs to OBS, which gives me so much more control over all the little details and settings, and also OBS is generally kept up to date much better. Also, I've redesigned all of my SimHub overlays from the ground up, so hopefully they're a little bit more pleasing on the eye, but more importantly, there's definitely less clutter on the screen now, which is something I used to get called out on quite a lot in video comments previously. Also, they use less CPU and memory now too, which is never a bad thing. All of my live stream scenes, transitions, graphics, that kind of thing, they're all new from scratch as well, and I've really spent a lot of time dialing in the VR settings for my new Pimax Crystal Light, getting things optimized so the gameplay footage should not only be sharper, but smoother as well. Oh yeah, I finally got a proper sticker for the front of it as well. That said, no matter what I tried though, I just couldn't get Race Room to run nicely, either in terms of frames or performance or anything. I had a lot of help as well from Calvin from Pimax, who we had a lot of messages back and forwards, and also with the Race Room dev team as well, with JF and Thomas, who spent a ridiculous amount of time troubleshooting and giving me things to try, and yeah, just couldn't get there, sadly. So thank you for your time, but for the time being, I'm going to have to resort back to the old Oculus CV1 for Race Room. Now, as you've probably also heard, I've redone my microphone settings and finally worked out why I was getting that clipping out of nowhere sometimes, which would just distort the audio signal and which the professionally trained audio engineer in me would cringe at every time I was editing footage after the fact. So yeah, I'm glad that's fixed. And as you've probably also seen, it turns out I've been a bit of an idiot for the past few years and I've been using the wrong settings on my camera. So now that I've actually delved into that and got that fixed, it should be proper HD with 60 frames a second, much better lighting and better colour balance as well. Although, not that being able to see me in more detail is necessarily a good thing, but yeah, there you go. Basically, what all this means is that I'm ready to get back racing and get back on YouTube doing streams and videos again. Because guess what? I've missed it. And I've missed you too. Genuinely, one of the highlights of my week would be signing on, seeing all the regulars in chat, hanging out with the guys on Discord, and seeing the same friendly faces on track week in, week out. Because as much as this is about sim racing, it's also a massively social thing as well. Now, in terms of what I've got planned, yeah, there's a few things on the to-do list. First and foremost, I want to get the Thermalito leaderboards finished. There's about 5 or 6 cars which were chosen by the original Kickstarter backers 2 years ago, but I just never got around to since Thermalito released, which is, that's unacceptable. I'm really sorry if that is you. Vushal, Damo, Maureen, Dylan, David, I promise you I'll be taking your car out for that 30-minute hot lap session soon, getting a time on the Thermalito leaderboard and making that video. I owe you that. I've also hardly spent any time in AMS2 since the most recent patch dropped a few months ago, with the new physics and the new AI tweaks, which should work out very nicely for the final half of Bolt Brogan's Racing Life Formula 1 season. Also, any excuse to fire up AMS2 and go racing with Gravel Trap Legends is a good one, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on what series they're going to be hosting soon. Speaking of hosted series, I also really want to make Tuesday Thunder with OzNZ Sim Racing a thing again. Back when I first started out in Race Room many years ago, this was a series that was on the channel every week and was genuinely some of the most enjoyable racing I've ever done. Brand new car and track every Tuesday with the same friendly faces, and of course Brody hunting me down and overtaking me on the last lap, not to mention the usual Discord banter on the voice comms. It was never anything too serious, but it was always a lot of fun, and yeah, that's the kind of thing that I want to do regularly again. I also really need to get my rally fix as well. There's nothing quite like the rush of nailing a good stage, and that's probably the thing I've missed the most about not being able to spend any time in the rig. Sadly, Olaf's Dirt Rally 2.0 community club is no more, and EAWRC just doesn't play nice for me in VR, either on the Oculus or the Pimax. But luckily, there are quite a few events to choose from in Richard Burns Rally, with quite a lot of cars and stages to pick from as well. Oh, by the way, about Richard Burns Rally, I am going to get my co-driver voice pack patched up at some point as well and get that fixed, so yeah, don't think I've forgotten about that. I am going to get that done. And I'm also thinking about potentially reviving my iRacing series again and doing some official races, maybe even a road to 3K or something like that. Now, I would do a road to 2K first, but I think my current I rating is something like 1950, so it's probably going to be quite a short series. One of the main reasons I stopped doing this back in the day was having to race against randoms all the time, and just generally take a conservative and, to be honest, a negative approach into these races, afraid of actually racing in case I made a mistake and someone got cranky at me. I feel like I'm a much better driver than I was a few years ago, especially in terms of mentality, so maybe I won't get stressed out too much about the idiots and the aggro on the voice comms anymore. Who knows? Only one way to find out. Generally though, I just plan on enjoying myself more and doing what I want to do when I want to do it, instead of looking at what's popular in sim racing or what the latest releases are and then making the videos to suit that to try and chase the views. Having 6 months away from the channel without publishing a single thing has made me realise that, believe it or not, it will still actually keep going, and people still keep on coming back to watch my older hardware review videos, and they keep on subscribing to the channel. This year, I've gone up nearly 1,000 subscribers, and also had over 150,000 views by doing absolutely nothing. So yeah, despite what everyone seems to say about growing a YouTube channel, you do not need to be uploading or streaming every single week. Honestly, it'll do just fine without you for a little while if you need to take some time. Now, this isn't my full-time job, and realistically, it never will be. So why should I set those unrealistic expectations on myself and apply all that pressure on myself? Why should I let this eat into quality family time or, for example, get in the way of exercising and getting in shape? Because, to be honest, that's something I've been meaning to do for a few years now, and something I'm actually feeling super motivated about now that I've spent a lot of time in hospital. But yeah, long story short, because I feel like I'm starting to ramble and miss the point a little bit here, I'm good, I'm healthy, and I can't wait to get back doing sim racing and YouTube again. Because like I said, I've missed it, and I've missed you. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk, and genuinely, thank you for waiting around for me for these few months. It means the world to me. Can't wait to see you again soon.